I was originally planning to review the Razer Viper Ultimate on its own, but as I was writing the review, the need for a direct comparison between this and the newly released Model O wireless seemed to be the right play. These are very similar mice in terms of shape, and for a lot of those who are searching the market right now, these two may well be at the top of their choices. In this video, I discuss the similarities and more importantly, the differences between these two mice and why you should pick one over the other. Hi everyone, Dredgen here, and today we are comparing the Razer Viper Ultimate and the Glorious Model O wireless. Full transparency, Glorious did send the Model O wireless, but I do not use affiliate links on the channel. The views here are mine and are not influenced by commissions. So, if you watch some of the mice roundup videos like the one Dave 2D published, you probably already know that these two are one of the best wireless ultralight mice in the market. The Model O Wireless by Glorious was recently released for $80, and in my review of that mouse, I said that this is a move that benefits us consumers since it pressures big companies like Razer. And Razer caved in. The Razer Viper Ultimate was released last year and was originally priced at $150 with a dock. In what I can only assume is a reaction to the Glorious Model O Wireless, Razer slashed the price of the Viper Ultimate during the week of Black Friday, selling it for only $100. It is still currently being sold for $120 in Amazon. We'll talk about value later, but first, let's look at the similarities between the two mice. These are both wireless and ambidextrous in design. A very safe shape for a lot of people, and in this case, very similar. These are for medium to large hands and favor claw or fingertip grip, though you can still palm this if your hands are not as big. If you look at this comparison, they are almost identical. Probably just a millimeter difference in height and in the grip. When choosing your mouse, shape is king. In actual use, I didn't feel any significant difference between the mouse shape. For reference, my hands are 19.5 by 11 centimeters and I mainly play first-person shooters like Destiny and of course right now, Cyberpunk. I am not an esports player by any stretch of the imagination, and after weeks of alternating between these two, I could say that I perform equally well on both. The sensors on both are solid and latency was never an issue. Razer and Glorious can spend all their time marketing how their wireless or sensor technology is better than the competition, but I don't feel a difference. Now that we have that out of the way, let's now go to the build and design. Going over to the Razer Viper Ultimate, it's a beautiful mouse. You can tell that this was engineered well. The body is solid, no holes or creaking anywhere. You have a textured rubber grip at the sides, which I like, and an RGB Razer logo at the back. It is a sight to behold, especially when docked. On the other hand, the Glorious Model O is also a stunning mouse. Central to its design are the LED strips that run on both sides with that diffused light. A design choice here that may be off-putting for some are these honeycomb holes throughout the mice. When I first bought this, I also thought this was going to be an issue since I can be sensitive with stuff like this, but it wasn't. Okay, confession time. As I was shooting some of the shots on this review, I dropped the Model O wireless from my table down to my tiled floor and I broke it. I broke the scroll wheel. It hurts to tell you this, but I need to be transparent. If you will buy this mouse, be careful and don't drop it. It's a good thing that Rotobox Philippines, the local distributor for Glorious, was able to fix it for me. I did confirm from them that this should be covered by warranty, but still, be careful and make sure you buy it from authorized resellers. Now, the fair thing to do is to also drop the Razer Viper Ultimate and see if it survives. But one broken mice is enough for today. Going to what I think is the biggest differentiator between these two mice, the triggers. The Model O wireless has the Omron 20 million mechanical switches and they feel great. Couple that with the tight tolerances on the triggers, Very minimal side play, virtually no pre-travel, and a bit of post-travel, and you have a very solid trigger. The Razer Viper Ultimate, on the other hand, uses an optical switch that should not get the double clicking issues present with other mice. But yes, they feel mushy. I only got the Viper during the 2020 Black Friday sale, so these are the new units that they are shipping, and they still don't feel as good as mechanical switches. I've been switching between these two mice, and every time I move from the Viper to the Model O, I immediately feel what was lacking on the Razer Viper Ultimate. It does not affect performance, though it just doesn't feel quite as good. I've been trying to wrap my head around it, and I'm not a mouse engineer, but I think it's because there's not too much tension on the triggers when you click on it. The triggers don't snap back as strong as mechanical switches. Couple that with some side play on the triggers, and it makes for a mushy clicking experience. I'm not sure if the triggers being longer contributes to the play and lesser tension, but it is there. I do know that some may not find this as an issue, but I do feel it when switching between these mice. Here's the sound test and trigger tests. Going to the scroll wheel, it's a mixed bag. The Viper sits lower and has better tension when scrolling, though it does take a lot of force to press the wheel. The textured rubber feels a bit sharp, but it will probably smooth out over time. The Model O sits higher, which I prefer, but there is not enough tension on the wheel, making the tactile feedback weaker. The force needed to press it is just right, but as I've said on my review, the wheel started squeaking after 2 weeks, which I was told is usually due to hair, fur, or lint getting inside the mouse. And again, I broke it when I dropped it. Going to the side buttons, the Viper has ambidextrous support and has buttons on both sides. This has its pros and cons. The pro is, of course, if you use your mouse with your left hand, you will have access to the side buttons. The con, however, is to avoid an intentional presses on the side that you are not using. Razer had to make the side buttons sit almost flush on the side. This means that if you are like me, who likes to use the side of your thumb to press the side buttons, you may need to use the tip of your thumbs to reliably press it. I also had to disable the side buttons on the right side since I still sometimes press it when I grip the mouse too tightly on intense matches. The side buttons on the Model O wireless, on the other hand, is more pronounced, which I prefer, though it does not have ambidextrous support. Going to the weight, the Model O weighs 69 grams, while the Razer is a bit heavier at 74 grams. You do feel the weight difference, but for me, it's not as significant. At the bottom, you have PTFE feet on both, and they do glide well, but the Razer does glide a bit better. As for the battery, both are rated at around 70 hours without the RGB on. With the RGB on, you would need to charge the Model O after around 15 hours, which is decent, but Razer completely removes worrying about battery out of the equation. The dock for the Viper Ultimate is a brilliant piece of hardware. I can't stress this enough. If you will buy the Viper Ultimate, buy it with a dock. Before buying it, I myself wrote it off as something that's unnecessary, but after using it, I am now a believer. While using the Viper Ultimate, I never worried about battery. Every time I would take a break from my computer, I would just pop it in the stand and I would come back to a fully charged mouse all the time. Not only that, the dock also acts as an extender, and to be honest, it looks good on the desk. Compare that with the need to have a loose wire always on your desk for the Model O, and you see why Razer's implementation is better. If you do buy the Viper without the dock, you would need to charge using their Speed Flex cable, and it's a decent cable, but it's not as good as the Ascended cord and the Model O wireless. Going to pricing, the Model O wireless smokes everyone at $80. For the Viper Ultimate, I honestly think that $150 is too high of a price point for a wireless mice, especially when you have a good alternative at $80. If you can get the Viper with the dock for around $100 to $120, I would say that's acceptable. This is also the reason why the Logitech G Pro X Superlight is not a part of this conversation, since that price tag is just way too high. I do not think it brings anything special to the table except for having a different shape and just being a tad bit lighter. So to close it off, both mice perform similarly well. The Model O wireless has better triggers, though not everyone will be a fan of that honeycomb design, and you need to be careful with it as build quality is not as good. The Razer Viper Ultimate has a more solid build and that wonderful dock, but the optical switches just don't feel crisp enough. Which do I think is the better mouse? In my opinion, the Model O wireless is a better mouse compared to the Razer Viper Ultimate. The triggers on the Model O just feels better, and to me, that puts it above the Viper Ultimate. If you are price sensitive, then it's not even a conversation. Get the Model O wireless. If you're left-handed or you don't care about price and you want a more neat and convenient setup for charging your mouse, get the Viper Ultimate. And that is it for this video. I hope I had helped you in deciding which is the right mouse for you. See you on the next one. Bye!